This is Inside Mside, your favorite podcast for all things Morningside. Here's stories from students, alumni, faculty, and more about what makes the Morningside experience so special. Well, hey, welcome back to another episode of Inside Mside, where we share and showcase stories and bring in a different Morningside alumni, people across campus, and tell the stories that you want to hear about. And I'm excited today to welcome both Beth Kolbo as well as Braxton Hinders. Welcome, guys. Thanks for coming on the pod.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. And now what's kind of cool about this episode is really it's the bookends of the President Reynders presidency. And so we're looking at someone that's about to graduate this coming May. And then Beth looking back on the first 4 years of President Reynders and his being here at Morningside. And so it's going to be kind of fun, a walk down memory lane and talk about some of the changes that we've seen under his leadership. But first and foremost, why don't each of you just tell us a little bit about who you are? Update us to where you are right now, name, major, maybe some family info or hometown, anything you want to share just about where you are in life right now. Braxton, you want to start us off?
Sure. So I'm Braxton Hinders. I'm a senior here at Morningside. I play baseball and golf here. I'm a business administration major with marketing and sports management minor. Pretty involved around campus, around the community. Try and do as much as I can to stay connected to students, stay connected to the community. I'm from Carlisle, Iowa, which is just about 3 hours southeast of here, about 10 miles southeast of Des Moines. I'm a middle child. I got an older brother that graduated from Iowa State and a younger brother that graduated from Iowa State. So grew up big Cyclone fans.
Fair enough. Beth?
I'm Beth Kolbo, and I'm from Dubuque, Iowa. And I was an elementary education major here. I graduated in 2003, so I started here in 1999, and then I graduated in 2003. I also love just being involved here at Morningside when I was a student, so I did residence life, and I was an ambassador, and played soccer.
Oh, yeah.
I was part of the first women's soccer team here.
There you go.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, I love campus. Love
For
being
sure.
back here.
Yeah, and it's great to have you back, for sure. Now, one of the things that I always find interesting about these stories and very personalized is how you came about to find Morningside. Like, how did it get on your radar? What brought you to campus? If there was anything in particular that of how did you come about to be here and be a Morningsider?
So when I was a senior at high school, I went to Dubuque Waller, and I remember sitting down with my guidance counselor, and I said, I wanted to be a teacher. And she says, if you want to be a teacher, you need to look at these 3 specific schools. And Morningside was one of them. And Morningside's education department is so phenomenal. It's so amazing that even in eastern Iowa, everybody knows that if you have a degree from Morningside in teaching, that you're going to be a master. You're going to be awesome. Yeah. And so I just was drawn to that. And when I came to visit, it was the people. I mean, it's always been the people that keep people here at Morningside, that get people to just love Morningside, and even as an alum, just the connection that you feel with people.
For sure. Braxton, what brought you here?
Yeah, I mean, kind of a funny story, but I had done all these tours. Just like how I was raised, I started touring places with my brother when I was a sophomore and he was a senior, just looking at places. And junior year, senior year, it was like winter break, and I was just trying to make my decision because it's a big decision, and I got an email that if I applied to Morningside I could get a free T-shirt. So I applied to Morningside to get a free T-shirt, and I honestly just did it for the T-shirt. And
do you still have the T-shirt?
I do still have the T-shirt.
Hey, there you go.
Probably the most expensive T-shirt I've ever paid for.
But hey, worth it for sure.
Yeah, and then my admissions counselor called me, and I got onto campus, and I got a tour. And I actually went into the business department, and one of the professors came out of their class and talked to me and talked to the student ambassador while I was on tour. And it's just exactly what I wanted, was a personal connection with the professors, just to be known and to be able to play baseball and golf. So,
yeah. And one of the things that I love about both of you, because, I mean, you were, different generations or came here at very different times, but you have so much in common. Yeah. And one of those things is just being active on campus or getting involved in organizations. You talked about even being RAs, that both of you are RAs. But talk to me a little bit about what you think about Morningside that kind of helps students maybe become more active on campus. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, go for it.
I just kind of think that because Morningside is, well, okay, let me first say that the student population here has totally grown since I was a student here. It used to be quite a bit smaller. Because what is population now? It's 1,200 students.
Yeah.
And I think when I was a student here, it was only like 900.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's quite a bit of growth in the last 20 years that we've seen here. And I just think that because it is such a small school, that you had opportunities to become a leader. And I feel like the person I was in 1999 when I first came here, like the growth that I experienced here because of those opportunities, because it is such a small school, I would have never gotten those opportunities at a bigger institution.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll totally back that up. Just at Morningside in the community around Sioux City, Sioux City's kind of a bigger town for me, but it's such a close-serve, tight-knit community. So Res Life, Student Ambassador, Business Honors, it's in some of those bigger institutions, it's so hard to get a leadership role in a club. And here it's not. It's not easy to get a leadership role, but you have the availability to kind of step up if you want to step up and take on that challenge in a lot of the clubs and teams and all that type of stuff.
So where are you an RA at?
So I'm an RA in the Plex. The last 2 years I've been an RA in the Plex.
Did you always live in the Plex?
Nope, I've been in all 3 dorms. I lived in Dimmitt my first year, Roadman Apartments my second year, and Plex the last 2 years.
Making his rounds.
Yeah.
And where were you an RA, Beth?
So I lived in Dimmitt my first 2 years, and then I was an RA for 2 years in Roadman.
Yeah.
And then after I graduated, I actually didn't jump right into teaching. I took a couple of years off, and I was an admissions counselor here. And so while I was an admissions counselor, I ended up living in the Plex.
Really?
And I ended up being the dorm head there.
Was it a frat still?
Yeah, yeah, they did. They still had that there.
Nice.
Yeah.
It was
actually
so fun.
the fraternity that I was a part of too was in the Plex.
Yeah.
Really?
So the Delta Sigs. Yeah,
Yep.
that's for sure. And now what's interesting is so both RAs in your own respective time, but talk to me about programming. How did programming evolve of what RAs were doing? Beth, do you remember some of the things as an RA that you were doing?
It was funny because when you guys sent us those questions, I started looking through my old scrapbooks.
Oh, yeah? That's got to be gold.
Oh, my gosh. And there's so many fun things that we would do. Like, okay, so in Roadman, I don't know if they still do this, but we would wake all the girls up, and it was a donut run in the middle of the night at like 2 a.m., and you would do it during homecoming week. And so I remember we went through and we woke up everybody, and we ended up going to Hy-Vee, and we just ended up getting a bunch of donuts.
That's funny.
I totally forgotten about that.
The donut run.
The donut run.
Infamous donut run.
How'd that
Does
go
anybody
over
do
with
that?
a bunch? No. How'd that go over?
Well, there were a few girls that just kind of closed their door and just said, nah, I'm not going. But that was really fun. And I remember, for like planning purposes, I remember we went out and we painted the spoon holder as a big group, and that was really fun. And so I like to walk through campus. We live really close. And so I'll walk through with my daughter, and we'll stop there at the spoon holder all the time and hang out. And sometimes we'll go get some ice cream at Dairy Queen and bring it back and sit on the spoon holder.
There
you go. Yeah, throwback. Braxton, what about you?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different stuff we do, but the last thing we did, we had a karaoke night on Saturday night in the Plex, just because it's a lot of fine arts kids, a lot of choir, a lot of band kids, so it was a lot of fun. Karaoke night we do with our little grill that we got in the Plex. We do cookouts when it's nice outside. We're doing a card night tomorrow night actually for a little community interaction, but.
No donut runs, though.
No
donut runs.
We might have to bring that back. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened to that. I wonder when it stopped. Was it when I graduated?
Yeah, exactly. That was when the legacy ended.
That'd be funny.
That's for sure. It'd be cool to bring it back. Now, one of the things we've talked about is over the course of the 20 years, that we're separating you, or the president's legacy, really, has been kind of the physical transformation of this campus. Talk to me, Beth, about when you first came to campus. What was your first impression of campus and kind of, where it was at that point in time?
At the time, I didn't realize that having a parking lot right smack in the middle of campus was not a good thing or not attractive.
Yeah.
But man, the transformation that they have with the fountains, that is absolutely one of my favorite parts. It's one of my favorite things in Sioux City. So we'll walk through campus, and the softball field being here. When I was a student here, and we played soccer, so there was a year of transition where we actually, where we were switching over from Division II to being NAI. And so for some reason, our soccer games ended up actually being the homecoming game that year. And we actually
really?
played it right down there on Bass Field.
That's
Yep.
pretty cool.
Yep.
And it was that 1 year and 1 year only,
Dang.
because then, we ended up.
Football.
Yep,
Yep.
exactly, because football came back and that transformation had happened between the divisions. So that was really kind of special for us.
That is cool.
Yeah.
But, the removal of that parking lot has just really made Morningside such a beautiful campus, because everybody walks everywhere now. Like, do you guys ever drive anywhere?
Some, like right now, a lot of us drive from the Plex to the CAF because it's so dang cold
Yeah.
outside.
Other side, yeah,
But
exactly.
that's about
Especially
it.
when it's
Yeah.
this cold
Yeah.
in the Iowa winters. But
Yeah.
Nobody really,
No.
Nobody
I
really
walk
drives
a
it
lot, no,
anymore.
Yeah.
but we all did. And
Yeah.
so that was really a nice transformation.
yeah,
Campus is beautiful. And then you've got, you've got the pergola over here, and that's just gorgeous. We really like to go to the, the plays that they'll put on in the summertime.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of nice, because so we live just right by the tennis courts.
Yeah.
And so there are some
Oh.
nights in the spring where we'll be sitting outside, like just hanging out, and we can hear the music wafting up the hill. And it just feels like we're still part of the community.
yeah, still right there on campus,
Yeah.
taking it in.
It's always something big like that Mac puts on, at the
Yeah.
end of the year,
Yep.
like some big
Yep.
last fling. I don't know what you guys call
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah, whether it's musical and that, or like you said, some of the different plays, children's plays that have been there. It's kind of fun to bring the community onto campus and let them enjoy that as well.
yeah, we love
That's
it.
great.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Braxton, what about you? What was some of your first impressions coming on campus?
When I came to visit, it was like later in my senior year, and it was, I did my visit in like the middle of February, and so it was freezing outside and snowing, and I looked back and I was like, if I was a student ambassador giving me my tour, I would be like, screw this guy.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. But it really just came down to the people. Like I said, the professor coming out of the classroom in the middle of class, you're never gonna see that at a bigger institution or even another institution. Everybody I met, like even as I walk around campus, just being able to say hi to pretty much everybody that I walk past is something that I love.
Yeah.
And being 60 to 70% student athletes, everybody hangs out with everybody. There's not cliques within sports teams, and it's not just baseball guys hanging out with baseball guys or football guys hanging out with football guys. Like, everybody hangs out together and meets each other and gets to know each other, which is super awesome.
Yeah.
The Commons is so beautiful now. I was here on campus for a luncheon, and it's just so nice in there. And goodness, I just think about all of the memories that we had just sitting there, just talking, staying way too long in the cafeteria,
Yep.
people watching.
Well, in the renovations that have happened, like you said, with the Olson Student Center, the cafeteria, have you been in Dimmitt since that got renovated?
No.
Yeah, so you wouldn't believe. I mean, if
nice
you
in
were
there.
there for sure, yeah, some of the renovations that have happened now, it's really beautiful. But yeah, now one of the things that you both kind of touched on were the people on Morningside, right? Like the friendships you made, the connections you made, and you even kind of referenced how we're all one big family, or really it's just, you kind of feel that, you sense that family here on campus. Talk to me a little bit about, were there any faculty or staff members or anything that really stand out to you of making or having an impact on your experience here?
Yeah, there's a whole handful of people. Like Dan Wubina in the business department has made a major impact in my life. I actually didn't even know him as a teacher when I first met him. I met him at church, and then I found out he was a professor here. Jen Braunschweig, a secretary in the business department, I'd literally just go hang out in the business office because it's just fun to hang out and talk to people. Being an admissions student ambassador, like the AA team, the admissions team is awesome and does a lot of work to get students onto campus, and senior visit days, junior visit days, all that type of stuff. President Reynders has made a huge impact on me. Like, I get to go into his office every 3 weeks, and we just talk about life and classes and basketball and baseball,
Yeah.
just everything. So getting to do that my sophomore year as an 18-year-old talking to the president of a university was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Does he still have all of the freshmen come over to his house for dinner?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Each CIC class goes a
I remember that.
different
That
night.
was great.
Yep. And like last night, he just had an ag banquet at his house. So that whole ag department or ag club or whatever went over to his
Cool.
house for dinner. So
Yeah. It's just part of that welcoming kind
Yeah.
of type of environment.
Yeah.
Beth, was there anyone that stands out in your memory?
For me, you've got the dynamic duo of Terry Curry
Oh,
and
yeah.
Robbie Rolina, leading the pack. And, those are two amazingly
Yep.
strong, talented women who just, what an inspiration they were. Still are.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of the professors that I had are not still here, but like Aline Bobbies was probably my most influential education professor. But like Jo Nielsen, she came a little bit later, so I worked with her quite a bit, and she was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
where was the education department when you were here?
We were on the second floor in Lewis.
Okay. Oh
And-
yeah, they still have an English department up there.
And I think about the admissions team, like
Yeah.
Shar Jurgensen.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And, Amy Williams she's always been a mentor.
Yep.
I was her student assistant, and we still keep in contact.
That's awesome.
You've got Steph Peters
Yep.
and Sue Pyburn. That whole admissions team. The thing about admissions is that you don't just work with them when you are being recruited.
Yeah.
They still stay a part of, the campus family and the community while you're
Yep.
here too. I love that.
Well, and Beth, what I love just hearing you talk about are a lot of these names, people that made an impact on you, whether it was 20 years ago or when you were working
Yeah.
here. And a lot of those people still work here today.
Yep.
And I think that that's just a testament to the institution, that it's like you start working here, or maybe you even went to school here, because some of those individuals you're pointing out went to school here and then just started transitioning, working here,
Right.
and then have risen up through the ranks to hold different offices here. Gosh, I look at even myself. I've been here for 9+ years now. And it's like, you would think that's a long time, but compared to some of these other people in those positions, that's really not much at all.
Carrie Winkelpleck and we were roommates in Dimmitt.
Oh, yeah?
And then when we both graduated, we had an apartment and we lived together when she was just starting out in development and I was in admissions.
Yeah.
Gosh, it was a long time ago.
Dang.
Yeah. Gosh, and just the impact that those individuals have made on campus, both overall, but also all those individuals such as yourselves, for sure.
My father-in-law was a professor here for many, many years, for over
Yeah.
20 years. And just in talking to all of the students that
Yeah.
kind of came out of the woodworks, because my father-in-law just passed away. He was a graphic
Okay.
design professor. And he,
John?
yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I had him.
Did you?
Yep.
Did he tell the best stories?
Yeah, I had him for like half of a semester.
Yeah.
When he was going through some of the processes.
Yep, some of his treatments.
Yep.
So when he passed away, the Morningside community they came out in such, strong numbers, and they all just had wonderful stories and support for us. And that Morningside family, it just like embraced us and loved us. And Heath Weber put together this amazing tribute for him, and it was so great to hear how many students that he had touched. And I feel that way about the people that I worked with here for so many years. And even though I've been gone for so many, you're still connected.
Yeah.
We love coming back for homecoming
Yeah.
and just seeing everybody.
Yeah. And being able to reignite some of those friendships. And it's almost like you catch up right where you left off, right? You see them back at homecoming or back on campus for something. And I'm sure, Braxton, some of these people, you're getting to know alumni that are coming on campus and maybe speaking to your class or doing some job shadowing. Because I know you've been able to do some of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. And so being able to see that, but know the impact they've made, and especially, your father-in-law, John Kolbo, a lot of people talk about the impact that he had on their lives. In fact, we were just talking about the Meet the Pros event that they would participate in and go down to Omaha and do some of those things. And it's that experiential learning, that we really instill here in the curriculum here at Morningside. And he was definitely a part of it. And I know, Braxton, you've taken advantage of a lot of those programs too. Now, we've talked about a lot of the memories and a lot of things that happened maybe while you were on campus or even since then, but is there any one memory that you hold on to from your 4 years at Morningside, either of you, that you think is going to stand out? Beth, that has just stood out to you since that time? I mean, maybe outside of the donut run, something like that. Or Braxton, is there anything that, looking back now as it's your senior year coming up to graduation, anything that you're like, gosh, that left a lasting mark on my time here, your memory?
I mean, not any, like my Arizona baseball trip that we had my sophomore year, and then going to the national championship this year. I get like one moment that'll last forever. But like I said, just going to sit in with President Reynders as a freshman through now, and just getting to chat with him and talk to him will make a huge impact. And just all the professors, the faculty, the students, being crowned homecoming king with President Reynders was the coolest thing ever. That's
right. I forgot we were sitting with royalty. No,
congratulations.
That's cool. That's very cool.
So,
Beth, is there anything that stands out to you?
For me, so my husband and I, we both played soccer here, and we met, and we're both teachers. He teaches at North High, and I'm in South Sioux. And when we were doing our student teaching, we knew each other from soccer, and then when we did our student teaching, we had the same supervising teacher. And so we spent just a lot of time that way, and that's how we ended up meeting. And so that is obviously, one of the biggest events of my life is meeting my husband here. But I think about the friendships that I made, especially with my soccer girls. That group of girls, because we were the first group here. And so it was like we came in, and it was like we were just all best friends. And Coach Maxon he's a treasure. He is just so amazing. And I still feel like I walked into his office. One day I was up at the Hyper. I walked to his office, and there I am sitting there talking to him, spilling my whole life story to him, like I hadn't missed a beat.
Yeah.
That's just how he is. But what he did with our group of 15 girls at that time is he just made us a family, and we still all get together now. We come back and we do our alumni soccer game. We haven't done it for a few years because of COVID.
Yo.
But I mean, we come back and we make that a priority, and then we all go on a summer trip up to Okoboji and have a girls' weekend. And Coach Maxon, he really, really did it right. And I love being a part of that soccer team. He, I don't know if I should tell this story or not. So one trip we went to, it was up in Minnesota, and we pull in and we're in Morris, Minnesota, and we're staying at this just teeny tiny little hotel, and we're like, oh, Coach, you're so funny. We're really staying here? And he's like, oh yeah, we're staying here. And it ended up just being the best team bonding experience because we were just all together. And he just did that. He just put these experiences together. That's and we awesome. Went camping, and it was just, I have so many happy memories. I don't know how to choose one.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I feel.
Well, and I was going to say, it sounded like you went on a similar trip or had that type of experience in Arizona, right?
And we're going to Florida this spring break, so I'm pretty pumped about that.
Lucky.
Yeah. Be able to hopefully bring some of that warm weather back.
Yeah, exactly. Especially right now.
Yeah. So it sounds like, those connections were really forged during that time, and especially you with whether it's the baseball team or other groups and organizations that really have kept you connected to Morningside. Is there anything in particular that makes you proud of this institution? As you look back on the experience that you had, is there anything that just fills you with pride about what they did for you here?
I look at my friends, and my friends are amazing. They're super successful, and Morningside really helped a lot of us grow into being such positive leaders. And whenever I meet other teachers who say that they're from Morningside, I just know that they're coming to us with this great skill set, and I know they're really well trained and that they're well-rounded, and I love that connection with them. That makes me really proud. When I meet another Morningside teacher, I just immediately feel connected with them, and I want them all to come work in my building. I want them to all be my colleagues too. That makes me really proud, and I just love to see the campus grow. The master's program in the education department has totally grown, and then there's also the nursing program, and that's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just seeing like the ag department. Oh my gosh, I love the garden, the school garden that we have here. That's so beautiful.
And Braxton, you work in that garden, right? Or have you helped out at all with that, with ag?
I've been there a couple times, but nothing too crazy. But yeah, it's cool over there.
I have a little school garden.
Yeah.
And I got a grant for it, and I like have modeled it after the Morningside one.
Really?
That's awesome. It's kind of a little
your mini
adventure.
Version of
yes,
it.
Yes,
yeah.
It's a little adventure that I have with my students.
Well, and then thinking about the expansion and the greenhouse and everything else that we can be a part of. Braxton, have you been in there yet?
The greenhouse, no, I haven't.
Because I saw they were starting to plant some of the different things in the towers and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Make it more sustainable.
It's right outside my room, so I see it every day.
Yeah. Yeah, Braxton, I was wondering, I guess being in the Plex, it's right there.
Yep.
Was there anything that stood out to you? I mean, I know you had a pretty close relationship with President Reynders, and now thinking about his legacy, the bookend of that and going into retirement, any conversation or anything when you've had those meetings, what did that mean to you, or anything that kind of stood out during those conversations that he impressed upon you?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even that we really we talked about classes and we talked about sports, but he emphasizes every time, if I ever need to use him as a reference, or if I ever need a recommendation letter, he is 100% happy to do it. And just being that authority figure on campus and being so willing to help out one student and all the students on campus says a lot about how he's ran the campus for the last 22 years. So
yeah. And Beth, I know you didn't have that relationship necessarily with him, but when you look back over this legacy, what do you think stands out about the last 22 years with President Reynders?
I think his vision. I mean, I remember being an admissions counselor for sure. And I just remember thinking about the mission statement and just how he really truly wanted us all to live that and to have that experience, that Morningside experience. Yeah. I mean, that was really when I kind of felt like, wow, it is an experience. And so I think his vision for the growth of campus and what Morningside could become, because, I mean, obviously you're going to come here and you're going to love the people, but then he saw the growth that we could have as a college turning into a university. And the beautiful growth that we've had here physically, with the buildings and the campus and the endowment, and just he's really, really pushed Morningside, I think, further than maybe a lot of people dreamed of.
Or ever imagined.
Yeah, ever imagined.
Yeah, we were a diamond that just needed to be shined a little bit. Yeah.
And his leadership has been really just transformative for this community. Sioux City has really benefited from this growth that we have here on campus, and I love being a part of it still, even though I'm, even though I've graduated.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Bryce.
The other thing I just thought about was just how involved and how around he is on campus, and I think it just trickles down through all the faculty, all the staff, and the students. I mean, him and Robin and Boomer just walk around campus, and them having freshmen over for dinners, inviting them into their house, inviting any freshman over to a house is probably something some people might question, but he invites all of them. I saw him at the swim meet on Saturday, and he was heading down to the men's volleyball game. And he tries to be involved, and he just invests in people's life, which is awesome.
Yeah, truly been a part of campus in so many different ways, whether it was the vision or, actually showing up.
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of sets him apart is, that legacy of not only having the vision of where we could go and what we could become when maybe it seemed against all odds, financially, as well as kind of where we were positioned athletically. I mean, you talked about that transition. I'm sure that was a challenging decision, but having that vision for where we could go, and then I too love, it makes me very proud as an alum to see how integrated he is on campus and how open and accessible he is. I mean, everyone can talk to him. He's approachable, and you can see Robin and Boomer walking around campus, and it's great to be able to have that access and just be able to be proud of the institution that we came from. I know you feel that, Beth, and me too. So
yep, Mside proud.
Yeah,
for sure. Anything last little bit? Anything else you'd want to share about President Reynders or your Morningside experience overall?
I just have so many happy memories. It was kind of fun to get out the old scrapbooks and just go through some of those old things that we used to do. Just the silliness that I feel like my life as an adult does not necessarily have. I mean, there are donut ones. There's really like the team building that we would always have, and just like I said, some of my happiest memories are just hanging out in the comments.
Yeah.
And just telling stories and, being in the lounges. Do people still hang out in the lounges, really?
Yeah.
Gosh, I love that.
We're in the Plex, we're in the lounge every night until way too late.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you knew you had to study, you knew you had to do some work, and you're like, oh, I'm just going to go hang out in the lounge, go see who stops by. And it was just so fun. You never really knew, like, where the night would take you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it was just always so fun.
Yeah. Or the friends that you would make. Because to your point, I mean, when I was in the Plex every once in a while, or I would go hang out with the Delta Sigs there, even though I lived in Rodman, and you would meet new people that maybe you never knew, or you would go to a different dorm. And while it seems like such a small, tight-knit family, you were still meeting people that you hadn't met before. Right. And you never knew if they were going to become your best friends over the next years, or if you'd keep in touch with them. And I think that was really cool too. Yeah.
I just say for me, I mean, I just like the Morningside experience has given me so many things, and just like getting to be a student ambassador and give tours, I get to talk about Morningside pretty much every day. Giving tours and learning like the history of Morningside is so interesting to me. And like when we were down in North Carolina, there was an alumni that graduated in 1974, so I just picked his brain about what college was like back then, and learned about the I House that they had for international students, and like all these, like how baseball was the first sport that Morningside had, and how the M Club room used to be the weight rooms, and just like learning about what things used to be is mind-boggling sometimes, just kind of looking at it. So
how things have changed, especially the physical transformation.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, it's been amazing having you on Inside Mside, both of you. I thank you so much for taking the time to be able to join us on this podcast. It's been fun, thinking about the bookends of President Reynders, his legacy over 22 years, and really thinking back to, while we may have went through physical transformations or name changes or different divisions, it's so cool to see how your Morningside experiences were still so similar. And how the people on this campus made such an impact on your life and continue, whether it was when you were here, Beth, or where you're at now, Braxton. It's really been great catching up with you. Now, I'm thinking we are going to need to take some photos of that scrapbook and maybe link to that in this. So be watching for that, because I think that would be fun. But thank you again, both of you, for joining us today.
Thank you.